Welcome to Lesson 6, your final lesson for this course. Congratulations for making it this far. By the end of this video, you will have all the tools that you need to complete your website. What we will be covering in this lesson is the box model, visual hierarchy, and white space. The new words of the day are box model, content, padding, border, margin, visual hierarchy, and white space. So here's an visual example of what the box model looks like. The center part, the inner part of the box, that's where your content's at. So think of maybe your header. So this is where what the content would be, whatever it is that you named your header. And outside of that, the content, there is a padding, but you don't see that visually. It's invisible. I want to use the word invisible, but it's not visible to you. And then there's a border and there's a margin. But what we're going to do is using CSS, we are going to select a part of our HTML and we're going to use our padding, we're going to use borders and margins as our properties in our CSS, and you're going to see what that can do to your website or sections of your website. And this will help in our layout, how we want to make things look and start really manipulating the form that you want specific sections of your website to take. So when you are using the property border, you're going to have you're going to select what section of your HTML you're going to use. And in this example right here, we're going to select the nav. And the border, you need to give it a thickness, a style, and a color. And in this example, I'm going to give it a thickness of 3 pixels. And I want it to be solid and I want it to be red. And then once I have placed this in my CSS, my border turned on. So it's red. So the border, what it's showing me is how much space my nav is taking up. Okay, so you see up here's my header, right? And right below that it's my nav. And right below the nav there's a paragraph. And right below the paragraph there's an image. And then I believe this was an H3, and then our list items, right? And if you notice, everything's just like they're squished together. And I can use the box model to give myself some space and start really make things look nicer and cleaner and not so squishy. Okay. Now we're going to turn on, I'm going to show you where the padding's at. So this is what we just finished doing, right? We turned on the border. And that was right here on the nav. Now the padding is between this is your content. This is your content right here. Your padding is literally between your border and your contents. This little space, the space right around that, okay? So for you, we're going to pick the nav to be the selector, and we're going to give it a padding. And what I want to do is, if you notice, my nav is right up against my header and right up against the paragraph. I want there to be more space between my header and my paragraph. So you're going to, for padding, you're going to give it 4 values: a top, a right, a bottom, and a left. And think of a clock, right? So this is a 12 o'clock, the top. Then you can go to 3 o'clock, the right. Then you're going to go 6 o'clock, your bottom. And then you're going to go to 9 o'clock, and that's going to be your left side. So I want to make some room up on top and on the bottom. So the top, I'm going to give it 25 pixels. I don't want to change anything on the sides, so that's going to stay to 0 pixels. My bottom, another 25 pixels. and the left side 0 pixels. And once I run that, it's pushing from the content. Now you see more space between the content and the border. Okay, so that's what the padding does. It gives me that space either if I want it on the sides, on the top, bottom, or yeah. So it gives you that space that you might want to look for. The last thing we're going to look at is the margin. And again, you have a selector, and here we're going to select the nav. And just like you did for your padding as a top, right, bottom, left, same idea. And here I wanted to bring this, I want there to be a space in between where it starts from. See, do you see right here my border where it's at? And look where my border is at over here. I want to bring my navigational links a little closer in. I feel like they're too wide apart. So I can use the margin to do this. And so there, what I'm going to do is say on the top, I'm going to just give it a little bit of space because I already used my padding for that, and I gave space top and bottom. So I don't want that much space for my margin. I'm going to give it 25 pixels, but on the side ends, I want there to be more space and tighten and just bring this a little closer in. So I'm going to give both sides 100 pixels. And once you run that, I've brought my navigational a little bit closer in. And so that is what the box model does. It allows you to really arrange certain sections of your HTML to look a little bit more of what you're looking for. Okay, so before I applied the box model, this is what I had. Everything was squished together. After I applied the box model, you can tell it looks a little bit cleaner, a little bit more spacier. It's visually more appealing, and that's a great way to use the box model. The next thing that we're going to discuss is visual hierarchy. So think of visual hierarchy as order. There should be a natural flow to your website. Think of the experience you are giving your visitor. We read from left to right and top to bottom. You don't want to confuse your visitor of how to navigate your site. They should not feel overwhelmed with the flow, the color, the font size, etc. So on this very first image that I have on the left, this is a terrible visual hierarchy, right? I don't know what's this list about. Why is my navigational bar way over here? My website title is in the middle. I have images in random places. This background color is so dark. So you really want to think of the experience you're giving your visitor. And now this image to the right, it's clean, it's visually appealing. I see that, on the right side, I'm going from top, bottom, and if I'm going across, I scan that there's the navigational bar. I know that I can start reading from up. The website's in a nice location. There's a nice paragraph centered. The font's not overwhelming. My background color's not overwhelming. And then I have these nice two images together here. So that's what visual hierarchy is. Think about how your visitor is going to view your site, how they're reading the site. Okay? And the very last thing to think about in completing our website is going to be white space. White space is the idea of not having the need to fill every area, every section and space that you have on your site. It is simple, it's clean, and it's uncluttered. Colors used strategically to draw attention to what's important. Keeping in mind text color, the size, the font, images, and the layout will help you create the right amount of white space. Your goal is to say just because you have this nice blank canvas does not mean that you need to clutter it up with visuals, right? And here's a beautiful example from UX Planet. They wrote an article on white space, And looking at this image, it's beautiful. Like they're trying to sell the watch, and it's just, it looks clean and it draws my attention to what I'm supposed to be looking at. And that's the whole goal of white space. It's just knowing what to put where and how much of it, right? So, those are important things when creating a website. Think about that as you are finalizing your website. And the fact that you guys have done this, I am so proud of you. And I look forward to making more videos for you guys. Thank you.